everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cannabis Tech Talks. You're chopping it up with Chuck. I am the editor-in-chief of the award-winning Cannabis and Tech Today, and we have a fabulous guest today. We always bring you the best, and this week we have Cherissa Jackson, who is the CEO and founder of We Decode, LLC. She is also retired Air Force, America's combat nurse, a cannabis advocate, an author, a speaker. I'm running out of things to say, Cherissa. Welcome to the podcast. It is a pleasure having you.
Wonderful. I'm so happy, elated to be here. I've been waiting for this podcast to come on here and just talk to you about We Decode and the great work that we're doing in the community, not only to save the lives of veterans, but to save and change the lives of the community in the cannabis space. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I was really looking forward to this one as well. Just because, first and foremost, you shared a cover of our magazine with Deepak Chopra, and you were our, let's see here, Innovator of the Year. I've got the goods right here.
Yes.
We actually just had in Denver the Psychedelic Science Conference. And we had about 1,000 copies here. A huge focus of that, of course, is how alternative medicines can really help in therapy. There was a lot of talk about PTSD. There was a lot of talk about just really breakthroughs. And so that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about, is because you are on the forefront. You're a veteran. You're somebody that's super passionate, and you've really made your mark in a lot of different areas. But I think one of the things that's most interesting is the DNA testing and kind of how that ties into, treatment and things that we are, potentially prone to because of our genetics. And I'm just kind of curious, for the audience and everything, going backwards to go forward. How did you get into this? How is kind of your origin story? Because everybody's got a great one, coming into cannabis. I'm sure yours is pretty awesome.
Yeah, my story is, only a few years ago, actually, as a clinician, as somebody on active duty, I couldn't touch the plant. So at the end of the day, I never thought about cannabis, even for my own self-treatment for PTSD. As you read my bio, of course, as a combat nurse, I survived 4 deployments, twice to Iraq, once to Afghanistan. So I did come back with PTSD. And so I was also on the hunt, also looking for alternative means to treat my own conditions, because I didn't want to use those pharmaceuticals that I was passing out to veterans every single day. And as a clinician, I found my way away from the pharmaceuticals, but not everybody can do that. And so it wasn't until about 2, almost 3 years ago that a veteran came to me and said, Cherissa, I'm actually using cannabis for my PTSD, for my anxiety, for my pain. And I'm like, I'm a Southern girl. My parents told me not to touch the devil's lettuce. So what are you talking about with cannabis? And he sat and told me what it did for him. And it just really stirred something inside of me to say, explore this. Think about it. And what I did was I actually did my own online certification course to just really learn about it, because I was like a sponge. I wanted to understand this plant. And then after getting that certification, I'm like, I'm a little bit better than a certification. I'm going to go for the gusto, which is why I enrolled in the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy course and got my master's, and actually graduated with my master's degree May of this year, because I wanted to be able to educate. And for me, being able to educate means I have to have the knowledge. I don't know if that's the clinician inside of me, but I wanted to make sure I had the information. And once I was in the course, and I started understanding this plant, the history of this plant, the efficacy of this plant, it was like a wow factor. It's like, why isn't this widespread? Why does it have this stigma that it shouldn't have? And so I became, like you said, that advocate and loud and proud about it, to the point where veterans are coming to me asking me for assistance, which is why I created We Decode. Because at the end of the day, most people are out here using trial and error to find the combinations and the recommendations that work for them. But you can actually use your DNA using our We Decode test to help you take speculation out of your recommendation. And using the kit will help you know precisely not just information about the cannabis and recommendation, but also about your whole health. So this takes the speculation out of trying to figure out what you should be using. It saves you time and money. And that's what I wanted to do, not just for veterans, but for the community.
Is that kind of based? And by the way, thank you for your service. And I saw, where you graduated earlier this year, and I kind of
Yes.
felt like one of us. You know what I mean? Like, she's a veteran. I happen to be a veteran. And just seeing you go to this level and soar to these heights is so great. Everybody talks about, how they love veterans and they care about veterans, but it seems like we've got to work really hard, to get alternative medicine, to get, alternative treatments. And sometimes, the government kind of moves slow, as we know, like hurry up and wait is kind of one of
Yeah.
those terms that we've all heard a lot.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, I mean, it's going in the right direction, that the VA and them are starting to hear, some of the, some of the results and some of the actually voices from the actual veterans who have gotten relief from cannabis or from alternative medicines? Do you think that we're starting to make some movement?
I think we're starting to make some movement, but let's be honest. This plan has been around for years. Research has been out there for years. So for the VA to now get on board, I think is a disservice to us all. And that's to me
Yeah.
personally, as well as to veterans who are still suffering, right? And I believe there's more that can be done from the VA's perspective and for what the VA can offer to veterans from this standpoint. But again, their hands are tied because it's federally illegal, and I understand that. But I do believe that there's enough research out there to talk about the efficacy of this plant. I just posted an article about the research study that was done on veterans showing the efficacy of this plant. So that goes to show you that outside of the VA, there is research being done on veterans to see how it's affecting veterans. So there's a long way to go. But thank goodness we have advocates like myself, magazines like yours, as well as other advocates in the community that is spreading this gospel about how good this plan is and how it can really save and change the lives of our heroes and our brave warriors.
Yeah, that's what we try to do at Cannabis and Tech today, right? We want to inspire and we want to inform. And so, having people like you, it really is, as far as I'm concerned, it's an important mission, that we have right now to not only destigmatize, but to let people know that there are alternatives out there, because stigma runs deep, and it's cultural, it's something that has been passed down, through generations. Like you said, being from the South, the devil's lettuce, the stigma is strong in our
Yeah,
culture. Ironically enough, there are other cultures out there that do not have that stigma
yeah,
associated with plant medicine. And especially a lot of cultures that have been around for a really long time, they have known about the efficacy of cannabis and of other psychedelics and things like
yeah,
that. And it seems
yeah.
like we're just now kind of catching up to something that a lot of people have known for, thousands of years.
And I think it takes advocates, it takes great stories, it takes
Hmm.
articles, it takes someone who's really coming out on in the mainstream to be able to let the world know. Let's take a pause for the cause here. What are we really doing? Because we know the harmful side effects of pharmaceuticals. I mean, no matter how many advertisements and commercials I see, they always says something for any pharmaceutical. Here are the side effects. Here are the side effects. Well, as we know, that we don't have those side effects as it relates to plant medicine. And so just being able to educate the community, that's what's going to help us with this stigma. And for me, sitting inside of a dispensary, I just came back from educating a dispensary on the technology and seeing these novice, elderly, young patients come through the line and have no earthly idea on what to even ask for to
Hmm.
come there hoping they're getting the education that they need to make the right decision. And we know that is not the place for it to happen. Again, that's the reason why I created We Decode, because we want you to know what your body says you need, not take speculation, not take what someone else is suggesting to you, not what you read, but let's get down to your endocannabinoid system that says specifically for you what your body needs. And I believe by doing this more, having talks and discussions like this more outside of conferences, is what's going to be able to tear down that stigma, which, as we all know, is very, very strong.
Yeah, and I think that it's really important to understand. First of all, we're putting a lot of burden on bud tenders, because like you said, people come in there and they sometimes don't have the education or don't have the background on what to ask for. So we really do put a lot on those bud tenders, and for them to kind of be that conduit, between different types of strains and different types of results that people are looking for. It's a lot. And I think the more that we can do, to educate people about how this stuff can help, but more importantly, how everybody's unique, right? I
Yes.
think that's one of the things that is so interesting. Like people don't all learn the same way. We know that, right? People do not all learn the same way. There's some people that they get bad grades in school, but they're brilliant. They end up being great entrepreneurs. I think that's one of
Yeah.
those characteristics that many of the great inventors and entrepreneurs, they were not good in school.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that people learn different. And if people learn different, I kind of think, and I think that the science would show it's because we're all different. And is that where this, we decode and the DNA testing comes in?
Absolutely. And it's great that you said that because our DNAs are different because we're
Mm-hmm.
all different. It's no different than our fingerprints, right? No one has the same fingerprint. So guess what? No one has the same DNA. So how can you say what you're advising to me is going to be the same advice that's going to help somebody else? It's not because we're all
Yeah.
different and our makeup is totally different. And at the end of the day, your DNA doesn't lie. So if you take a decision based from someone's DNA, that's more precise than you being speculative based on someone else's encounter. And I think that's what a lot of our customers, a lot of our patients love about this kit is when they have their consultation, the counselor is able to say, this is specific to you. Has nothing to do with Cherissa, David, John, anybody else out here in this world.
Yeah.
This is a report based on your DNA. So now the customers feel comfortable in knowing what the report is suggesting because they know it's specific to them.
Can you take the audience just kind of behind the scenes real quick on what happens after, we send in the sample? Because I was fortunate enough to get to take the test. I
Yeah.
did the swab. I followed
Yep.
the instructions. I was
Yep.
all worried I was doing it wrong, but you guys made it very easy for even a
Yeah.
knucklehead like me to be able to follow the instructions and send
Yeah.
it in. And so
Yeah.
what happens after we drop that in the mail? And by the way, when I say you guys make it easy, you literally even provide this the self-addressed, postage paid envelope. So
Yeah.
all we have to do is get that sample. So then what happens kind of behind the scenes after that?
Yeah, so of course, once you mail it, it gets sent to our lab, our Illumina lab, which is a very well-known lab that actually sequences your DNA. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks for them to sequence your DNA, and all the information gets uploaded to a HIPAA-compliant portal. And as you know, as you went through the process, where you're asked to create your portal, and when you create your portal, that's where your information is uploaded to. So we ask every customer to actually put in their health profile. So once the DNA sample gets processed at the lab will upload that information to their portal and they will get notified your results are in. And once they go and open up their portal, they'll see their results. But not only just their results, they'll see wellness plans, they'll see a learning center, they'll see articles, they'll see a marketplace that is also helping them align their recommendation with different products within the marketplace. And more importantly, the very first top banner of the homepage on the portal is an opportunity for each customer to get a free 20-minute consultation. So they'll get that consultation with the counselor and they'll go over that full report with the customer. And the idea is for the customer to leave We Decode more informed, to be more empowered to go inside of a dispensary and to ask for those particular recommendations that is specific to them based on the We Decode kit.
Well, and I think that that's what makes this so cool is the fact that that we are all unique. We are special. Each individual is special, and this lets us feel like, I think, the person sending in the sample and getting this report, like we're being seen. like we're being heard, like we're not just being lumped in with everybody else, because as we said before, and as I think everybody understands, we are all unique, and our DNA is going to make us susceptible to certain things, and maybe not have variance in certain areas. And so, it's probably why, and again, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here, but it's probably why you can have some people that drink boxed wine and smoke cigarettes and live till they're 95, and then you have some people that never smoke, never do anything, and they get cancer, in their early 30s. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's our bodies are all, they have these unique characteristics built
Yeah.
into our DNA. And it's so cool that your technology and what your company's doing allows us to get a peek in there, because a lot of people never get a chance to, really look behind the curtain and see what's going on inside. They just kind of go through life trial and error.
Yeah, and I think the key word here is our kits provide personalization. This is personalized to the customer, to the patient. It is personalized to you. Therefore, the speculation is no longer a consideration. It's all about the person and what their body, what their endocannabinoid system, what their DNA says that they need. But more importantly, this kit is about predispositions. I believe in this cannabis industry, a lot of customers are taking the plant and they don't know what their bodies are predisposed for. And so we are providing customers this information about predispositions because we want to mitigate risk. For example, anxiety is one of the main reasons a lot of customers are using cannabis. But using cannabis products that have myrcene in it can sometimes exacerbate an anxiety attack if someone is using cannabis for anxiety. Again, if you know what you're predisposed for, if you're predisposed for anxiety, if you're predisposed for insomnia, if you're predisposed for any healthcare issues, and there's a contraindication for using cannabis, the DNA kit will tell you. Therefore, it mitigates risk. It
Yeah.
eliminates harm. And I believe in this industry, that's a missing piece. It's not just about taking the plant, it's about how do we mitigate risk, because everything is a risk. Even if you consider this plant medicine, and all medicines have risk, this plant also have risk factors. But if you connect, what am I predisposed for? See what we need, see how it can help me. And if cannabis is an option, making sure there are no risk factors, that's going to make a patient want to continue to use the plant. It's going to make the patient have a great experience and see and enjoy the efficacy of this, what this plant has to offer.
Yeah, I think that's a great example when you bring up anxiety. A lot of people, cannabis helps with their anxiety. I know people that they can't get their day started, without cannabis, that it truly is, like some people need a cup of coffee to start the day. Some people need their cannabis to get up and going. And I never quite understood that, because I'm one of those people that, for me, cannabis is kind of an end of the day thing, like kind of a, maybe like my quiet time, a sativa, and I got the whiteboard and I'm thinking and I'm getting stuff done. But for me, I don't feel that I'm as productive if I have cannabis before. So I think, and honestly, some strains of cannabis, the sativas, I feel a little anxiety, afterwards. Like I sometimes can feel that way. So I think that that's a good example of how we're just all wired differently. And by having this personalization, now you can get that sort of aha moment that, this is why I'm feeling this way with this and that, and allow people to make more educated decisions. I mean, I think it's just absolutely brilliant.
And those aha moments have come with us actually giving these kits out to veterans. And I want to definitely give a shout out to Amazon. Last year, they gave some funding in order to purchase these kits to give to veterans, as well as the NBA team, Atlanta Hawks, gave some funding to get kits to veterans. And those veterans that were given these tests, they had those aha moments. And we have some YouTube testimonials of them having their aha moments when they actually looked and read their reports and was like, now it makes sense. It was like the pieces of the puzzle were coming together to why they were having the setbacks that they were having with using the plant. And we were able to guide them to exactly what they needed. So this is truly a roadmap. It's a one-stop shop. You get the education, you get to learn about your whole health, which is why we're not out here coining ourselves as a cannabis DNA test. No, we are a health and wellness test because we believe in our slogan, better health through better data. When you know better, you do better. When you know what your DNA says you need to do, including showing you what predispositions you have, telling you if there's contraindications, it allows you to make informed decisions, and you are now feeling empowered to therefore make the right decision based on what your DNA report says. So I'm just grateful to be able to share this technology to the world, to the community. And right now, we're not only seeing the cannabis industry wanting this technology and seeing the value in this technology, but also the healthcare space. I mean, providers are also intrigued by this technology because it's helping them guide how they manage their patient's care. Who would want to give a patient a pharmaceutical and not know if there's a contraindication for them taking that pharmaceutical and wait until there's a sentinel event or wait until they, show up in the ER because they're having a side effect to a particular pharmaceutical? Well, now you can prevent that by having your patients take this technology so you know from the jump if there's a predisposition or a contraindication for a particular medication.
It's really surprising how disjointed our healthcare system seems to be. I feel like there's great intentions, and I have the deepest respect for people that work in healthcare. I mean, literally, I feel like, especially after what they went through with the pandemic and everything, like they truly are heroes. They're amazing people. But it seems like, there's some things that I don't feel like this is very common, that people are getting these DNA reports. My grandma, who was on a lot of medications, she was so bad. There were times that I would call her at night that she was like not even there. You know what I mean? And her doctors that were prescribing these medications didn't realize that there were certain interactions until, we had to bring it up with them. So I feel like, again, the people that work in the healthcare industry, they're amazing, and they do such great work. But I feel like sometimes the system itself gets bogged down, and it feels like if there was more, like you said, data, that was available to all the people, and if things were shared more easily, that we would have better results, for the people that are going in to get the care, because a lot of times, they just they don't know a lot of stuff. And so by people being able to have a little bit more control over their data, keep going back to that word, it seems like it's going to give them better care. It just seems like it allows people to participate in their healthcare a little more than just showing up to the doctor and saying, hey, this doesn't feel good or this doesn't work, and throwing your hands up and expecting them to figure everything out.
And what you just described is called integrative medicine. That is where healthcare is moving towards. It's integrative medicine, where it's just not the doctor, just not the provider telling a patient, "This is what I want you to do." The patient is at the center of the issue. The patient is the patient. So therefore, the providers and all the services around them is part of helping the patient get optimum care. And the best way to do that is make it about the patient and asking the patient, what would you like to do? Do you want to go the holistic route? Are you okay with this pharmaceutical? And so I think at the end of the day, with healthcare shifting to this integrative model, it's allowing precision medicine to come into play. And precision medicine is DNA testing. And I believe once that all comes together and becomes mainstream, you will see the approach that you just mentioned, where the patient is the center and the patient feels empowered and the patient is the focus. Is not just taking what a provider says, because you as the patient, you have autonomy to be able to say yes or no to any type of recommendation the provider has. Just because the provider says, I want you to do, doesn't mean you have to do. And that's why you have to be your own advocate. And now with this shift to integrative medicine, the patient is the center. And now the patient can be their own advocate in saying how they want their care managed, in what way, what form, what fashion. And that's where precision medicine come into play.
Yeah, and what I like also that I think is really cool is now I'm an iPhone guy, and so we've got that little health, thing in there that keeps growing and growing and growing, and it starts actually now. My VA records are integrated into my iPhone, into my health thing, which I think is really cool because a lot of times, if you go to the VA and you get some stuff, and then maybe you go to a regular hospital or whatever, they don't know. So the fact that we have, at least we're starting to get this stuff integrated, I think is really cool. And also just as an individual, sometimes I sit there and I look at my health and I look at my VA stuff and I'm like, like when it's kind of like, you have access to everything. You can't pretend that, this isn't an issue. If you're sedentary, you may be a little bit overweight, you've got high blood pressure. Like, it's not going to go away. It's right on your phone.
It's
And
there.
everybody looks at their phone about 140 times a day. So I do think that that's cool that we're kind of, integrating it with the people, and that we're making it so that it's something front and center, not just, that we hear about in our ear, once a year when we go get a physical, and then we forget it, and go get a cheeseburger. Like, this to me is really cool because it's right there. And if we care about our health, which I think everybody does deep down inside, that the iPhone can also be a tool, or your Android or whatever can be a tool to help you keep on track. And almost like there's some gamification in there. I've noticed, I've got a watch that connects with that as well. And that measures my sleep. I didn't realize how important sleep was. And now every morning when I get up, the first thing I'm checking is my sleep score.
Yeah, absolutely. I do the same thing. My Fitbit does the same thing. And I
Yeah.
think you're hitting the nail on the head. When you know better, you do better. So regardless of whether or not you want to, shy away from it, I don't want to know what my report says, or I want to know what my last blood pressure was. When you know better, you do better. And what it forces you to do, or what I hope it forces you to do, is for you to take action. And that's where you're empowered to do something about your health. You're able to take action. And that's where We Decode come into play. You're able to take the report, take the information, take action, take speculation out of your recommendation, go with a precise way of asking for products based on yourself, help the bud tender by saying, hey, my report says I'm predisposed for this. So therefore, don't give me these particular recommendations because it's going to exacerbate my symptoms. And so you can walk into a dispensary knowing what you know, and you're able to make sure when you leave there, you got the best products that's going to work for you.
I think that's so huge. Okay, we're going to take a quick break right now. We've got to keep the bills on over here, so we're going to do a quick break for our sponsors. But I would like to give a shout out to Polyscience. They are our title sponsor. They're the ones that allow us to continue to bring out this great content. If you guys were at MJ Biz, we recorded, I think, 17 different segments over 3 days. Had a really nice stage. So again, big shout out to Polyscience. Those guys are great over there. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back. And what I'd like to do is I would like to talk to Cherissa a little bit more about the future of We Decode. And something else that I think would be interesting is I want to find out, where did you get the name? I always think that's great to find out where people came up with the name and what was the inspiration. So we'll be back right after this short break, and some more with Cherissa Jackson. We Decode. I'm telling you guys, if you have not had a DNA test, if you have not found out, what your DNA is telling you, please do it. It's super easy. It's super awesome. And we'll be back right after this commercial break.
Every cultivator knows that facility design can make or break your grow. So why not choose the team with over 16 years of experience in the industry? Cerna Cultivation Technologies provides floor plan and architectural services, comprehensive HVACD equipment, lighting, and benching, and so much more, all within your budget. It's time to grow your way. Go to Cerna.com, that's SURNA.com, to learn more.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Cannabis Tech Talks. You are chopping it up with Chuck, the editor-in-chief. We are here with Cherissa Jackson from We Decode. And again, big shout out to Polyscience, our title sponsor. Let me ask you this. Where did you get the name? Because it's clever as hell. And I'm just curious, did you come up with that? Was that somebody on your team? Was there cannabis involved? Because sometimes great ideas come around a little smoke sesh.
No. Let me tell you, man, I am a God fearing woman, and I really prayed on this, not only for this opportunity to be able to share this technology and providing a solution to the community. I really, went into prayer and said, you know what, this name has to be a name that's going to be something that people is going to resonate with. And, I knew having to decode your DNA, I was like, there's something around that word decode, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're decoding your DNA by sequencing your DNA and providing you
Hmm.
that information. And then I didn't want to have the word cannabis in it because, again, we're not a cannabis quote
Yes.
unquote company. We want to be health and wellness. So I knew I didn't want to have cannabis in the title. But then and I'm a Southern girl, so sometimes I talk really, really fast. And if I say
Yeah.
we decode together, you'll think I'm saying weed, like the plant weed. But in essence, is we, as in we as a community are helping each other decode ourselves in understanding this plant. And so when I got that word decode that came, I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning and I wrote it on my bedside stand, decode. And the next day I woke up and I saw the word and I was like, we decode. Why don't we decode each other? Let's the community decode this plant. That's what we're doing in research, decoding what this plant can do. That is what, the technology around this plant is doing, is figuring out what this plant can do. And so I just put the two words together, we and decode, and brought it to life. We decode. And every time I tell people this, they're like, oh my God, that is genius, that title. But it came to the man above. Thank you. But
Yes.
also just thinking about what I really wanted to do in striking this industry pretty hard and being clever in doing that. And I think I did that with the title.
Oh, it's great. As soon as I heard it for the first time, I got it and I was like, "Oh man, it's almost like a double entendre." You know what I mean? It's almost
Yes.
like two different meanings in one. And I was like, "Dude, I guess Jay-Z's not the only one who can do those, right?" Because that is really really smart.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, I just want to reiterate, for the people that are listening right now, and I've got my result pulled up here.
Yep.
This goes through everything. I
I
mean, this
know.
is not what you get right here is fascinating. I see I have a variant detected for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
I see that I have gluten sensitivity. I have a variant detected.
Yep.
I see that I have a variant detected for alcohol dependence.
Yes.
I see, these are things but it even goes into caffeine metabolism. I have a
Yes.
variant detected. Mood swings, no variant detected. This is fascinating stuff because we've only got one life. We only have one body, and to understand it this way, from the literally from the makeup of it is amazing. I mean, it's even got this is what's focused on the cannabis side, like it says THC side effects reports. So impulsivity after THC use, variant detected.
Yep.
Working memory impairment with chronic THC use, variant detected. So it even goes into a vitamins report. So what I'm telling to people that are listening right now, this is fascinating stuff. And if you want to know thyself, what better way could you have than this right here? Because again, it covers the whole gamut. It's not just related to cannabis, and that's what I think is so cool about it. It is literally, the whole spectrum of things that can be determined here, by our DNA. And I just think that it's just absolutely not only is it useful, but it's fascinating, and it's fascinating that you guys have allowed this to be accessible to people, and it's not even that much money, for what you're getting and for the information that you're getting, and you can use for the rest of your life, and you can use with your healthcare providers, and you can use with people around you. It's priceless.
I totally agree. I totally agree. But one important thing that is important for all users of cannabis or pharmaceuticals, but that folks really need to know, and what this test really provides, is how you metabolize products. right? Not everybody metabolize products the same way. And so the kit actually tells you how you metabolize cannabis. You can be a normal metabolizer, intermittent metabolizer, so slow metabolizer. So what does that do, Cherissa? Well, if you know what type of metabolizer you are, you can then determine what route of administration you should be asking for when you go inside of a dispensary. So what does that mean, Cherissa? Okay, if you're a slow metabolizer and you need something for pain, why would you ask for a gummy? A gummy is going to take so long for your body to metabolize because it has to go through your GI tract. It has to go through all of the normal metabolizing that you do when you eat something. So therefore, by knowing that information, it will help you determine when you go inside of a dispensary, what types of products should I be asking for? What products should I be buying? Because if I am in pain, you want something immediate. And that immediate result would come from either a vape pen or some flour. Because why? It metabolizes fast because it
Hmm.
goes through your bloodstream. It goes through your blood-brain barrier, right? It crosses that BBB. So at the end of the day, I think this kid again makes you better informed because even if you weren't using cannabis, you still need to know how your body metabolizes medications. So
Yeah.
a lot of people may be out here taking pharmaceuticals and the doctor is wondering, why aren't you having, the effects that I thought you were going to have? Why isn't your blood pressure being lowered? Why isn't this SSRI not helping you with your anxiety and your depression? What's going on? Well, if you did a DNA test, you will see that this person may or may not have contraindication for that medication, or their body may not be able to metabolize that medication. So I think you have to start there as a basis before you even buy products because
Yeah.
you'll be wasting time and money if you're buying products and you're waiting and wanting that quick effect and you got a product that won't allow you to do it because your metabolism won't allow you to do it. So that's how informative this test is. And it's not because it's my company, it's because I've seen the results and people coming to me saying, where has this been for 5 or 10 years? I just had a lady today cry while we were discussing this kit because she was like, I've been in and out of outpatient centers with my depression and my anxiety, and I've been trying to find the right formulation and trying all of these products, spending all of this money. And if I'd had this test years ago, I would have been better sooner. I would have had a better quality of life sooner by using cannabis. And she was like,
Wow.
this is a no brainer. This is a no brainer, Cherissa. I don't understand why you haven't blown up yet. I'm like, I'm trying. I'm trying. But
Yes.
that's the point that people get emotional when they see their information, they see the value in that information because they could have made better informed healthcare decisions based on what their DNA said. And that's the true stories that I love to be a part of and hear. And I think that's what we're here to do is not just to showcase the what cannabis can do for patients, but what people knowing about their health can do for them and save their lives.
Yeah, yeah. And for the people that are listening, let's let them know kind of about the future and how people listening could join in and support, what your mission is and what you're doing because I know that partnerships are really really big. I
Yeah.
know that what I mean, we can't go it alone. We learned in the military that we are much better as a team. We are much
See?
better when, everybody's got a role and everybody's working for each other than trying to do it on your own. So, talk a little bit about the future of We Decode and what kind of partnerships and what kind of areas are maybe your where you're focusing and where people that are listening right now could help.
Yeah, absolutely. So the future for We Decode is big and is bright. And I say that because there's so many people coming at us to partner with us. We're currently under negotiations with some international players because they see the value in this kit. And as we all know, internationally, cannabis is opening up. So having to have those partnerships abroad is so important. To be a part of cannabis research is also the future for We Decode. We've been asked to be a part of research studies. We've been asked to be a part of women's studies surrounding endometriosis with big pharmaceutical companies because they want to understand, well, if women are using cannabis for the endometriosis and their pain, pelvic pain, we want to understand how this plant is helping them. So the future includes being a part of research studies. Partnerships that we're aligning with include international players, but also here locally, we're partnering with dispensaries because dispensaries are seeing the value. of these
Yeah.
kits. They're seeing the fact that if we had our patients understand that we value them in making sure they're not just spending money just to be spending money, and we're not giving them great recommendations, but now we can say, yeah, we're giving you great recommendations. This is what your body needs. They see the value in customer retention, customer satisfaction using our kits. And so, those partnerships include dispensaries. It includes, big MSOs, right? MSOs, they have the power, and being able to do educational seminars, being able to do veteran work groups, being able to do any type of educational event where we are able to educate the masses, particularly these medicinal states that are just medicinal, is huge because they need help as well. Not like you said earlier, bud tenders don't know everything, and not
Yeah.
that we as clinicians know everything, but we're here to be of help. We're here to assist. We're here to be, like you say, a conduit for when that bud tender runs into a patient that comes and says, hey, I have asthma, I have high blood pressure, and I have pelvic pain. They say all three of those things. What is the average bud tender going to do? Like, oh my God, how should I direct my recommendations to this patient? Because there are certain key things that bud tender should be asking a patient if they have asthma, if they have pelvic pain, and you add a little insomnia and PTSD to that, then it becomes really complex. So to be able to partner with MSOs to educate their staff, to educate their bud tenders, to be about community, what we know is that the elderly population is the fastest growing population that's using cannabis right now. Who's educating these 55 and older population of people? Also, we know that moms is one of the fastest growing population of people that's using cannabis. Who's educating the moms about this plant? We know that children are using it, and we know that there's some unsafe packaging that's happening, and kids are getting into products that they shouldn't be getting into. So being able to align ourselves with partners whose values are connected to our values, where we are providing information so these patients can be safe to change the stigma, is huge for us right now. And of course, funding is always an issue. We're looking for those investors. We're looking for those folks that want to fund us to get to that next level, which includes doing complete whole genome sequencing. Because right now we're only doing 665,000 SNPs. We want to do the whole genome sequencing, which means we're able to provide even more information. Even though it's vast now, we want to provide even more information for the next level of the test that we're doing.
Wow, that's amazing. So for people that are listening, where can they get more information? Where can they order the test? And most importantly, where can they get a hold of you, if they're interested in being a part of this and help taking this to the next level?
Yeah, you can certainly go to our website. It's wedecode.me. You can find me and see where I'm located, where I'm speaking at, the different conferences that I'm at through my LinkedIn page. It's just my name, Cherissa Jackson. If you want to order a kit, the kits are $199. However, we have a very interesting partnership with a company called Klarna, where you can actually buy now, pay later. So you don't have to come right out of pocket that $199. You can set yourself up on a payment plan, very similar to what Amazon does and QVC does. You can set yourself on a payment plan, but you'll still get the kit. And therefore, it allows you to get the kit in your hands. And so you can go to the website to actually buy the kit for $199. But if you've already done Ancestry or 23andMe, you can still get your DNA uploaded using the $49.99 option by just uploading your ancestry report, and we'll be able to give you your full report in 10 minutes using our technology and our algorithm.
Wow. That is amazing. I am going to do that. And I'm making a commitment to you that I want to have you back on the show in 90 days. Okay. So we'll get that on the calendar. I want to have you back here, and I want to go through some of the changes that I've made based upon my numbers and sort of my baselines and things that I've got right now. And I'm going to make a commitment, and I'm going to sort of document my journey as I start working towards more, working in accordance with my DNA and taking a look at what I've got right here, because I really think that it'd be a fascinating journey. And I think that it's something that not only would help me and help me be, healthier and be a better father and be a better business person and a better friend and everything else, but I think that we can also educate some other people and get them to want to take that journey as well and give it a go, especially if we can show some cool results. And, maybe I can get that blood pressure down, by in the next 90 days, maybe I can, lose 10 or 15 pounds. Maybe I can, really implement some of the stuff that I think we want to, that we all want to. But I think that your technology, and I think that, the integration of, health on your smartphone and access to your records, all that stuff means we now have the ability to take this journey. And I really would like to do it and be committed to it and have you back, and then just kind of like, see what's new with you and let you know what's going on here. And I think that it'll be interesting, and maybe some more people will want to do the same thing.
I thank you so much for that. And I welcome the opportunity to come back in 90 days. But if I can say one thing before I leave, what's important to me outside of just educating about cannabis, but any partnership that I align with has to follow my 3 Ps: passion, purpose, and people. And at the end of the day, that's why I created We Decode based on those 3 Ps, right? And not only that, but it's also about the safety of this plant. So often I hear patients, customers wanting that high dose of THC because they want to get that high. They want to feel good for whatever reason. No shame here, but just know that there's a risk to that. And the risk to that is a condition called hyperemesis syndrome. And one of the great quotes that Ethan Russo, who is a well-known doctor in the industry, he commented about this kit was the fact that it can help prevent hyperemesis syndrome. Why? Because the kit will tell you, just like you saw, that you have the THC levels. It can say whether or not you will have side effects to THC. Not everybody needs to be on a high level THC, because over time, what will happen is you will develop this condition called hyperemesis syndrome. That means you now need that so much. Your body reacts to the overflow of that THC that it never did need. So what happens is you have this, you're vomiting, you have nausea and vomiting uncontrollably because your body is now reacting to this overflow of THC that you never need. So why would you put yourself at risk for that when you don't have to? The We Decode test will tell you how much THC that you need, because not everybody needs to be on that high level. So we're about safety. We're about the 3 Ps: passion, purpose, and people. And I'll be grateful and to come back and spend some time with you in 90 days to see what changes you've made and see what else we can do together and give you an updated status on where We Decode is at, particularly with all the moving parts that I have going on right now.
I would love it. And thank you so much again for joining us. And for those of you that are listening right now, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the like button. And again, we'd just like to thank you so much, Cherissa, for coming and joining us today. I got to give a shout out to our title sponsor, that is Polyscience. And by the way, this podcast is available pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast. So hit that subscribe button and follow Cannabis and Tech today. Also follow We Decode on social media so that you can get updates, so that you can see what's happening. You can be in the know. And finally, I have to give a shout out to Alan and his team at Pretty Easy Podcasting. They are absolutely fabulous. If you are looking for a production solution for your podcast, if you want to get a podcast going, you're not really sure, you're worried about the technical side, just go to prettyeasypodcasting.com. They are the best in the biz. They make it super easy. And I'm just telling you right now, like we couldn't do what we do without them. They take care of the audible levels. They take care of the, making sure that everybody's all hooked up, ready to go. They help with the distribution of the podcast. They truly are the best in the biz. So Pretty Easy Podcasting. And again, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Cannabis Tech Talks. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.
Hey, hello, I'm Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. Wait, you didn't think people would know who I am? Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. No, hey, I don't talk like that. You want me to sell this? Buy it. Try Durachill or else. If you want something really nice in your laboratory, buy Durachill. You can't go wrong.